civic education is what we are taking right now. In our previous class, we discussed Nigeria as a federation. Today we are taking part 2. The other day we took the part 1 where we explain what federation is and why Nigeria choose to practice federation. But that system of government has its own characteristics. What are the characteristics, or what are the features that make us to know that this kind of government, it's a federation or a federal system of government? I'm going to discuss 7 characteristics or 7 features of a federation. But before then, remember that when we explained federation, we told you that it is a government that comes together to form a central government, one central government, to govern other tiers of the government. And we told you that the Nigerian federation kind of system practice the 3 tiers of government, the federal, states, and local governments. So today let's look at the features. Number 1, the federation kind of government practice division of powers. So power is not centralized on just one tiers of the government, but rather it is divided. The federal government have its own power, autonomous power it's managed. The state does, and the local government does that too. So power is divided, subdivided into 3 areas that manages the system. So these 3 areas of governance try to come together to govern the whole states. The federation kind of system have a written constitution, and it is this constitution that guides the nation. And this constitution is rigid constitution. It is not flexible. They want to quote from what is the constitution and follow it as it is. There is no flexibility unless it has to be adjusted. But once it is not adjusted, it stands the way it is written. Supremacy of the constitution. The constitution is looked at as the supreme, the highest, the major. So the constitution is what stands in every issue. Then special role of the judiciary. If there is conflict between the federal government, the state government, the local government, it is the Supreme Court that handles the case. It is where they go for justice. They look into the matter and know what exactly to do. So the Supreme Court, which brings the supremacy of the judiciary into play, plays a very big role in settling disputes, making for peace, settling problems that arises between these 3 tiers of government. Then we have by the bicameral legislature. What do we mean by a bicameral legislature? We have the upper class, the lower class. The upper class consists of the Senate, the lower class consists of the House of Representatives, and all of them put together are referred to as the National Assembly. And so the upper arms of the government, which is the Senate, is practiced in a federation kind of system. The lower class, which is the House of Representatives, is practiced in a federal kind of system, and then all of them put together is referred to as a National Assembly. So anytime you hear the word National Assembly, remember that it is it constitutes both the upper house and the lower house. The House, the Senate, and the House of Rep. All of them make up the National Assembly. And this system practice both. They incorporate this upper lower class and the National Assembly put together. Then we'll have the dual administration. Administration is not just in the hands of the federal government or the upper government, which is the federal government. It is divided, like we told you, it's division of powers. So we have seen the characteristics of a federation kind of governance. And Nigerian practice this kind of governance because we see that we have the local, the state, and the federal government. We see that we practice the upper house, the lower house, and we refer to them as the National Assembly. We see that in case of conflict, the Supreme Court handles this case and justice is gotten in there. Then we saw that we have a written constitution that is rigid. This constitution serves as a roadmap to whatever decision that is going to be taken. So this is why Nigeria is said to be practicing the federal kind of system or the federation kind of system. So we have seen the first part of our class. We look at the second part, states the dangers or failures of federation. What are the dangers associated with this kind of government? These are some of the dangers that can make a federation fail. One, slow decision making. Before the upper class take their decision, lower class take their decision come to a round table. The federal talks about their own decision, state, local. The decision-making process becomes too long that before implementation, things that want to go wrong must have gone wrong. Ethnic conflict. Some people may feel that they are marginalized, and so it might lead to conflicts. Some of the ethnic group might think that they are not well represented. They look at them as a minority, so their representation, they don't think it is worth it. Revenue allocation. The states may agitate for resource control. Every state should manage their resources. So those states that does not have the resources to manage their own state will start agitating. There will be crisis. So when that resource management comes into play and some states cannot or will not be able to manage their own state because they don't have more natural resources than some states. Some states have more natural resources, so they want to collect more of their allocation. It becomes a tug of war. Divided loyalty. Who are you loyal to? The godfatherism, nepotism comes into play. It is capital intensive because we have 36 states. Before you start maintaining each of these states, allocating revenue to each of these states, making sure that everybody is fairly represented, capital involved is high. Economic and political crisis. Some ethnic group will say they are not well represented. Some marginalize others, and they can lead to communal crisis or ethnic crisis. Then we have population census. Most of this population might be fraudulent, and they will look at this population and allocate funds and resources. And some of the places that are not supposed to have more allocation will have because of the population, the assumed population that they have. And then tribalism. Those are the top. Want to favor people of their own ethnic group or ethnicity. That leads to problems. So the federation kind of system has its own setback. Slow decision making, ethnic conflict, revenue allocation or resource control, divided loyalty, capital intensive to run this kind of government, economic and political crisis, population census that are fraudulent and not correct, and then tribalism. This will be our class for today. Please watch the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. What are you waiting for? Let's grow this community higher. If you have other points, there are many. I just discussed 7 here, and in the other one I discussed 8 here, and the other one 7. A lot of points. Read, add more, tell me what you think below the comment box. I will interact with you there. I will always give you feedback. Please continue to drop by on the channel. I'm happy you are always here, and I'm happy you are finding value. If you find value, give us a thumbs up. Thank you for being part of our community. Until I come your way next time, thank you.